You know that person, right? We all do. Someone who makes a choice, and when you ask them why, they just don't really explain it. They seem completely fine with being misunderstood, just moving through life with this calm that, honestly, can feel a little weird to the rest of us. So, what is going on inside their head?
Just think about it for a second. They make a massive life decision. Maybe they quit their job, end a long relationship, move somewhere totally new. And when you ask them that big, obvious question, why, you're expecting this long, defensive story. But you don't get it. You just get a simple, confident statement. And that's it. And if someone gets their motives all wrong, they just kind of let them. There's no frantic text message to clarify, no desperate attempt to set the record straight. They just let it hang in the air.
Now, our first instinct, my first instinct, is to see that and think, wow, that's arrogant, or maybe that they're just cold. But what we're seeing is just the very tip of the iceberg. Psychology tells us that the real reason is hiding way down deep, and it is not what we think at all.
This is the big question, isn't it? I mean, for those of us who have this deep, almost primal need to be understood, this kind of silence is a total mystery. Why don't they feel that same pull? Well, let's unpack it. So here we have the heart of the puzzle. On one side, there's what most of us do, right? This frantic, tangled-up rush to explain ourselves the second we feel misunderstood. And on the other side, there's just this calm, centered silence. What in the world is the difference between these two reactions?
To solve this, we have to look inside their heads. The first and, honestly, the most powerful reason for their silence has everything to do with where they get their sense of worth. And here's a hint, it's not from the outside world.
The key idea here is something called internal validation. Think of it like a gyroscope inside of you that keeps you steady and balanced no matter how chaotic the storms of other people's opinions get. Their feeling of being okay comes from their own internal compass, not from taking a poll of everyone around them.
Just look at this difference. The brain on the left is just spinning, caught in this endless loop of questions about the outside world. Do they get me? Do they approve? Oh no, did I mess up? But the person on the right, their internal dialogue is so much simpler. It's just one question. Is this true for me? It's a complete shift in focus from the world out there to the world in here.
And that's the superpower, really. When your sense of who you are isn't built on the shifting sands of other people's approval, a wave of misunderstanding just doesn't have the power to knock you down. It just washes right past you.
Okay, so that's the first huge piece. But there's another layer to this. It's not just about self-worth. It's also about a very practical, very smart calculation they've made about their own personal energy.
This is what we call selective emotional investment. It's this core understanding that your mental and emotional energy is a finite resource. It's like money in your bank account. You wouldn't just hand out cash to every single person who asks for it, right? So why would you give away your precious energy to every single misunderstanding that comes along? And what's so fascinating is that this is a learned skill. Nobody is born this way. As you can see here, many of these people actually started out as constant explainers, trying to make sure everyone understood everything, all the time. But then they learned the hard truth. You can't control what other people think. People are going to hear what they want to hear. So they evolved. They became emotionally efficient, and they stopped trying to control something that was never in their control to begin with.
And we have to get this distinction right. We see their silence and our brains immediately label it cold or uncaring. But from their point of view, it's just efficient. It's a smart use of their emotional budget. So it's not that they don't care, it's that they care too much about their own well-being to waste energy on battles they know they can't win.
So let's just tackle these judgments head on. Let's bust some myths. Because the story we tell ourselves about these quiet, confident people, it's almost always wrong. It's a story born from our own discomfort with their silence.
This chart basically gives us the translation key. So where our knee-jerk reaction sees arrogance, what's actually happening is self-regulation. What looks to us like emotional detachment is actually a conscious choice to prioritize peace. And that superiority complex we think they have? Nope. It's just a high level of self-trust. We're basically misreading their strength as an attack on us. And here's why it can feel so jarring to be around them. When they don't jump in to fill the silence with explanations, they create a kind of vacuum. And what do? We rush to fill that vacuum with our own stuff, our insecurities, our assumptions, our judgments. Their silence, in a way, becomes a mirror. And a lot of us don't really like what we see looking back.
All right, we've talked about internal validation and emotional efficiency.
But now we're getting to the absolute core of it all, the one single profound realization that makes this whole way of being possible.
This is it. This is the whole thing in a nutshell. Being misunderstood is less painful than abandoning yourself. Just let that one sink in for a second. The sting of someone getting you wrong, that's temporary. It fades. But that slow, constant ache of twisting yourself into a pretzel to get someone else's approval, that is a much, much deeper wound.
And once that truth stops being just an idea in your head and becomes something you feel, like deep in your bones, everything changes.
Suddenly, silence isn't a threat anymore. It's not proof that you did something wrong. It becomes a safe space. It becomes a sanctuary where you can just be you, even if the world outside doesn't quite get it.
So, what's the big takeaway here? If you're listening to this and you recognize yourself, please hear this. You are not cold. You are not broken. You are psychologically grounded. You've just learned to trust your own anchor more than the chaotic tides of other people's opinions.
And that's the last thought I want to leave you with. What if understanding this changes everything? What happens if we stop judging this quiet confidence in other people, and maybe even try to cultivate a little more of it in ourselves? How would that change our relationships, our work, our own inner peace? Something to think about.